I sat there, staring at the check on the table, my stomach twisting into knots. $112 for a lunch I've barely touched with a woman I barely knew. The waitress lingered nearby, her face a mix of pity and impatience. "I'm so sorry, sir," she said, her voice soft, "but your friend said you'd be covering the bill." My jaw hit the floor. "She saw what saw?" I stammered, my voice louder than I meant. "She and VY Ted saw here. Where the hell is she?" The waitress shrugged, uncomfortable. "She left about 15 minutes ago. Said it was an emergency." I fumbled for my wallet, my face burning with embarrassment and a growing fury. Linda, the HOA president who'd practically dragged me to this welcome lunch, had just screwed me over. But as I stormed out of Cafe Lauren after grudgingly paying, my bad day was about to become a full-blown nightmare. My truck me brand new F-150, the one I'd worked overtime for months to buy, was gone. Vanished from the parking lot like it had never existed. My keys, stupidly left in the cup holder, were gone too. I patted my pockets, praying I was wrong, but the truth hit me like a punch to the gut. Linda hadn't just ditched me with her tab. She'd stolen my damn truck. I'd moved to Pinewood Estates looking for peace, not drama. After years in cramped apartments, I'd finally scraped together enough for a down payment on a modest 3-bedroom in this pristine neighborhood. The HOA fees were steep, but the place was spotless perfect lawns, matching mailboxes, rules that kept everything in line. I'd been there 2 weeks when a handwritten note showed up in my mailbox. Saw "Welcome to Pinewood. Let's grab lunch to discuss your landscaping. Tomorrow, 1 p.m., Cafe Lauren." Linda Harper, HOA president. So I felt a bit pushy, but I figured it was a chance to meet folks and get the lay of the land. When I walked into the upscale cafe, Linda was already holding court at a window table, while VYing like we were old pals. She was exactly what you'd picture: blonde bob with chunky highlights, oversized sunglasses perched on her head, a pastel sweater despite the summer heat. "There's our new neighbor," she announced, loud enough for the whole place to hear. She pointed at the chair across from her. Sit. I've ordered us some appetizers to share." Before I could even settle in, a server appeared with a spread of bruschetta, stuffed mushrooms, and some fancy fig and goat cheese thing. Linda was already VYing for the cocktail menu. "Trust me, their mojitos are saw to die for saw." "You saw I've saw to try one," she insisted, ordering 2 without waiting for my answer. "Don't worry, the HOA's covering this. President's Fund." For the next hour, Linda barely let me get a word in. She ordered more food, took dramatic sips of her drink, and talked nonstop mostly about herself. How she'd single-handedly saved Pinewood from declining standards. How she'd forced 3 homeowners to repaint their houses because their colors were tanking property values. How she measured everyone's grass on Sundays to enforce the rules. "People hate me now, but they'll thank me later," she said, smirking as she ordered a second mojito and a grilled salmon entree. "That's leadership making the tough calls." I nodded politely, trying to steer things toward actual HOA stuff, garbage pickup, community events, how to get shed approved. But Linda was more interested in gossip. The Thompsons in 456? Their kid parks his motorcycle in the driveway overnight. Total violation. "I've left 7 notices." She leaned in, whispering like we were conspiring. "And the Sings with their cultural decorations? We have SAW standards, SAW, for a reason." Her snide comments about neighbors I hadn't even met made my skin crawl. When she started nitpicking my SAW Plasmy welcome mat was 2 inches too wide, my garage door the wrong shade of beige, I checked my watch, ready to bolt. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her eyes widening with fake concern. "Oh no, emergency board meeting," she said, grabbing her purse and standing. "I'll be right back. Order the tiramisus, SAW DVYNE SAW." 10 minutes passed, then 20. I skipped dessert and asked for the check, figuring she'd be back any second. When the waitress slid a slip of paper across the table with due La 112.47 scrawled at the bottom, my heart sank. "This can't be right," I said, my voice tight. "She and VY Ted me. Said the HOA was paying." The waitress shifted uncomfortably. "She told me to give the bill to you." Something about welcoming you to the financial responsibilities of homeownership. I stepped outside, phone in hand, ready to call Linda and give her a piece of my mind. That's when I saw my truck was gone. My pulse raced as I scanned the lot, hoping I'd parked somewhere else. But I knew. I rushed back inside, demanded to see the manager, and within minutes, we were watching security footage. There was clear as day. Linda strolling to my truck, opening the door, grabbing my key from the cup holder, and DRIVYing off like it was hers. She even adjusted the mirrors before pulling out. My hand shook as I dialed her number. No answer. Then a text pinged. Saw just borrowing it. You owe me for the NVYT anyway. Winking face, welcome to Pinewood. Saw. This wasn't a mix-up. It was theft, plain and simple. I called the cops, trying to stay calm as I explained. The officers seemed dubious in neighborhood, HOA, president stealing a truck after lunch. But when I showed him the footage and Linda's text, his face hardened. Sir, this is grand theft auto. File a formal report. As word spread through Pinewood, neighbors I hadn't met started reaching out. First with sympathy, then with their own stories. Linda had borrowed Jim Carter's pressure washer last spring and returned it broken. She'd taken Sarah Lee's pricey garden shears for HOA business and never brought them back. Old Mr. Hawkins said his golf cart vanished from his garage after he left it open. While unloading groceries, Linda claimed she'd confiscated it for a violation. We've all been scared to push back, Maria Gomez from across the street admitted, dropping off a welcome basket the next day. She threatens fines for everything, uses the rules like a club. With neighbors ready to speak up, the police got serious. They pinged my truck's GPS and traced it to the Oasis, a ritzy spa resort 60 miles away. 2 officers drove me there, and we pulled up just as Linda handed my keys to a valet. Ma'am, is this your vehicle? An officer called out. Linda spun around, her face freezing when she saw me with the cops. For a split second, fear flickered in her eyes, but she squared her shoulders and put on her best authoritative tone. Of course not, officer, she said smoothly. I'm just MOVYing it as part of my duties as HOA president. This resident VY OLAT parking ordinances and our bylaws allow relocation of non-compliant vehicles. The officer didn't blink. Do you have documentation authorizing you to take this vehicle? Her smile tightened. Not on me. But as president, I have implied authority to ma'am, he cut her off. Taking a vehicle without permission is grand theft auto in this state. It got worse. When the cops searched my truck, the bed was stuffed with loot, a box of HOA letterhead and stamps, financial ledgers that belonged in the community center, and most damning stuff stolen from neighbors. Label garden tools, sports gear, even unopened packages swiped from porches. Linda was cuffed on the spot, still insisting she was acting in the community's interest as they read her rights. The shock on her face when they listed the charges: grand theft auto, fraud, embezzlement, multiple counts of petty theft, with up to 10 years in prison, was something I'll never forget. The next week, Pinewood held an emergency meeting and booted Linda from the HOA board. They elected an interim president and started digging through years of financial records, uncovering that Linda had been siphoning HOA funds for personal splurges, including spa weekends. She faced overdue law $25,000 in fines, restitution, and legal fees, plus possible jail time. I got my truck back, undamaged except for the stench of Linda's perfume, which took weeks to air out. Neighbors I'd never met stopped by with food and apologies for letting her run wild. Just when I thought it was over, a letter arrived from the HOA. A due law $50 fine for vehicle abandonment in a commercial zone, dated the day Linda stole my truck. She'd filed it before even Leah VYing the cafe. One last petty jab. When the judge added fraudulent documentation to her charges, the look on her face was pure gold. So what do you think? Was Linda just a power-hungry tyrant? Or did she genuinely believe she was VYing the neighborhood? Should I have seen her scam coming at that lunch? Or was I too naive? And how would you handle a neighbor like her confront her early? Or stay quiet to avoid the drama? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if this story got your blood boiling, and subscribe for more wild tales.